Okay, so the air outside, it's got that real bite to it now. Winter setting in.
Yeah, long nights, everything feels quiet. Maybe a little too quiet sometimes.
Exactly, and it's in that kind of quiet, those long winter nights that, well, sometimes things happen that are hard to shake off.
Things that don't quite make sense.
Right. So today, we're going to share some stories. We've got these accounts that people shared with us. Pretty unsettling experiences, actually, all happening on these dark winter nights.
And we're just going to tell these stories, try to bring them to life a bit.
Yeah, make them compelling, maybe a little scary. That's the idea. So let's start with this one. It's about someone staying alone in a house, completely snowed in.
Oh, that classic setup. Already gives you chills.
It does. So our source, they're looking after their uncle's place. Uncle and his family are off in Europe.
Right.
And our narrator, they wanted, a bit of independence, so they offered to house sit. The rest of the family had already left, actually.
Okay. Seems normal enough. A chance to have the place to yourself.
Totally. But here's the slightly weird bit. The uncle had these rules, like really specific rules.
Oh.
Yeah, no friends over at all, and don't spend much time outside, especially not in the yard.
That is a bit odd. Not just lock the doors.
Right. The narrator just figured, uncle's being weird about the snow, maybe worried about liability or something. Shrugged it off.
Makes sense. You'd rationalize it.
Yeah. And at first it was great. Quiet house, feeling independent, comfortable.
Living the dream.
Briefly is right, because then, middle of the night, a heavy blizzard kicks up, and a noise wakes them up.
Yeah.
Downstairs.
Uh-oh.
Just this thumping sound. Annoying at first, maybe not immediately terrifying.
Right, could be anything in an old house during a storm.
Yeah.
The wind pipes.
Exactly. They check their room, nothing. Look out the window, it's a complete whiteout. Snow swirling like crazy.
Okay.
And then the thumping again, louder. And this time, it's definitely coming from the front door.
Ah. Okay, that changes things. That's not the wind rattling a pipe.
Yeah. No. That's when the sort of unease starts creeping in. Big time.
So what do they do?
Well, curiosity, maybe a bit of dread. They head downstairs, flicking on lights as they go. Smart.
Always turn on the lights. Rule 1.
They get to the door, look through the peephole, but you can't see anything, just blowing snow.
Visibility 0.
Right. So very carefully, they open the door, just a tiny crack.
Brave. Or maybe foolish.
Maybe both. And that's when they see them. Footprints in the completely fresh snow that's covering everything.
No.
Yeah. A clear set of footsteps leading right from somewhere out there across the yard straight to the front door.
Okay, wait. Fresh snow? Blizzard conditions? Those tracks shouldn't be there. Or they should be covered almost instantly.
Exactly. Fresh tracks means someone was there, like just now. Or maybe still is.
That's terrifying. Slam the door time.
Oh, they did. Slammed it shut, locked it, heart absolutely pounding. Like, who on earth would be out in this weather? Why come to this house?
Right. Makes no sense.
They run to the back door, thinking maybe they can see something from there. Look out the glass. It's dark. It's still snowing like mad. But they catch a glimpse.
Of what?
A figure. Small. Walking away from the house. Looked like a kid, maybe. 9 or 10 years old.
A child. Out there in a blizzard.
Yeah. The wind died down for just a second, gave them a clearer look. Definitely a kid, just walking away into the storm.
Wow. Okay, so fear for yourself instantly mixes with worry, concern for the child.
Exactly that. A total jolt. Fear, confusion, but also like, oh my God, that kid. So they immediately call 911, report a child wandering alone in the blizzard.
Good call. What else can you do?
They stayed watching by the back window, but the figure just vanished into the snow.
And the police.
Police arrive. They're in the kitchen, explaining everything that happened. There's this quiet knock at the front door.
Why the police are there?
Well, the police are right there in the kitchen.
That is chilling.
Seriously. One officer tells the narrator, stay put. The other two go to the door. It's the child, the same kid they saw walking away.
The police found him. Or he came back.
He came back, knocked on the door. The officers bring him inside. And the source notes, they looked really worried. The kid was just wearing like a sweatshirt. That's it. Totally wrong for the weather.
Just a sweatshirt
Here.
in that cold.
Yeah.
How is he even... Okay.
One officer went back outside, probably checked the tracks again, came back in. But the kid,
What about him?
his expression, the source says it was just blank, vacant. Like he was completely lost in his own head.
Detached.
Totally detached. The police tried questioning him, where are your parents? What are you doing out here? But he barely said anything, just seemed out of it.
That combination, underdressed, unresponsive, that's not just a lost kid who wandered off. Something's really wrong there.
It felt completely surreal, they said. This kid, the blizzard, the knocking, the blank stare, none of it made sense. And they didn't get answers right away. Weeks went by.
Weeks? What happened then?
Well, by then the uncle was back from his trip. And it turns out the little bit the boy did eventually say was that this house, the uncle's house, that's where he lived.
He said he lived there. In the uncle's house.
Yeah, which obviously he didn't.
That's deeply strange. Confusion, delusion,
Right.
or something else.
Right, and here's where the first twist comes in, according to the source. About 2 weeks after our narrator found him, this boy, he gets identified by another family.
Okay.
He was their son, who had been missing for months.
Not just lost that night.
Months. Missing for months, then turns up on this random doorstep in a blizzard saying he lives there.
Okay, that completely changes the complexion of it. How does that even happen? Where was he? Why that house?
Nobody knows, and it gets even weirder. Less than a month after that, a second missing child is found.
You're kidding.
Nope. This time, just sitting in the street right in front of the uncle's house.
In front of the same house.
The exact same house. And guess what? The uncle was on vacation again.
Okay, now that's not a coincidence anymore, is it? 2 missing kids, weeks apart, same location, uncle conveniently away both times.
That's exactly what the narrator thought. The official line was, no connection found between the 2 cases. But come on.
Yeah, that strains belief. It screams connection.
It really makes you wonder about those rules the uncle had, right? No visitors, stay out of the yard. Why leave after his family did? Was he hiding something? Or someone connected to these kids?
You can see why the narrator would go there. Even if it seems far-fetched, the pattern is just too specific, too unsettling to dismiss as random chance.
For sure. They mentioned the police did check the house after the first boy, and the uncle was apparently cooperative. But still, 2 missing kids found right there. The source leaves it unresolved. Just this lingering, deeply disturbing question mark.
A true winter mystery, unsolved and unsettling.
Okay, let's shift gears. Still winter, still unsettling, but a different kind of situation. This next story is from a DoorDash driver.
Ah, the gig economy meets extreme weather.
Pretty much. They actually kind of like winter, the atmosphere and stuff, but where they live, lots of snow. And delivering food in that, it gets intense. Bad roads, low visibility.
Yeah, it turns a simple job into something pretty hazardous.
But they point out there's an upside. When the weather's awful, most drivers stay home.
Ah, less competition.
Exactly. More orders, usually better tips. So there's this incentive to go out even though it's risky.
Balancing risk and reward.
Right. So this one night in December, it's snowing heavily. Visibility is awful. Roads are barely touched by plows. Our narrator's driving super carefully.
As you'd have to.
They actually decide, okay, this is too much. They reject a new order ping. Plan is just to head back towards the main town, hope the roads are better there.
Smart move. No one to call it quits.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Driving slow, maybe 20 in a 45 zone. And then up ahead, they just barely make out something big in the middle of the road.
Oh no.
They slam the brakes. But on snow and ice, a car just slides right off the road into a deep snowdrift. Stop.
Okay, but low speed, no crash damage.
Low speed, soft landing in the snow. So, thankfully, no injury. Car's probably fine. But yeah, completely, totally stuck. Wheels spinning, going nowhere.
Stranded. In a snowstorm. Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. But they stay calm, turn on the hazard lights, pull out the phone, call roadside assistance, give the location. The dispatcher says, okay, probably 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, help is on the way. Manageable wake.
Feels manageable. Then, just a few minutes later, maybe 4 minutes total, the source says, they see lights in the mirror. Flickering orange lights.
That was fast.
Way faster than expected. Looks like some kind of work truck pulling up behind them. Parks right there.
Initial reaction must be relief, right? Wow, they got here quick.
Totally. Like, okay, great. A guy gets out, walks up to the driver's window. Narrator rolls it down just a bit.
Standard procedure.
Guy asks, need some help. Narrator says, yeah, I just called roadside assistance a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Man says, right, let's see what I can do. And he walks around to the back of the car like he's checking out the situation, how stuck it is.
Makes sense. Assessing the tow.
Seems like it. But then, this is where it gets really weird. While the guy's back there, the narrator suddenly feels this rush of cold air from the back.
Cold air.
Yeah, they look back. The guy has opened the trunk. Just opened it.
Why would he open the trunk?
Exactly. He's holding it open, and his eyes are like scanning the inside of the car, just looking around inside. Then he just mutters, sorry, and slams the trunk shut.
Okay, hold on. That's not normal at all. Tow truck drivers don't randomly search your trunk.
Right. Major red flag waves immediately. Why open the trunk? Why look inside the car? It's just off. Totally suspicious.
Alarm bells should be ringing loud now.
They are. Putting together the weird trunk thing with how insanely fast he showed up, something feels wrong. So narrator quickly dials roadside assistance again on the same phone.
Good instinct. Verify.
Phone's ringing, narrator's getting anxious, and the exact same voice answers. The dispatcher from the first call.
The same guy.
The same guy. And he says, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm just a couple minutes away now. Did you need something else?"
Oh, that feeling. Your stomach just drops. The guy outside is not who he says he is.
Complete dread washes over them, and at that exact second, the man outside is back at the driver's window.
Perfect timing. For him, he tells the narrator, "Okay, I need your keys, and you need to get out of the car so I can get it ready."
Whoa, okay, demanding keys and telling them to exit the vehicle. No.
Big nope. Narrator, still got the phone to their ear with the real dispatcher, just kind of awkwardly says, "I'm on the phone right now, just give me a minute."
Stalling, trying to think.
Trying not to panic. The man outside doesn't say anything, just stands there, watching them, clearly trying to eavesdrop on the call.
Creepy and intimidating.
Very. Narrator takes a breath, slowly rolls the window all the way up.
Smart. Create a barrier.
The second the window closes, the man starts banging on it aggressively. "What are you doing? Open the door."
Okay, escalation. This is bad.
Narrator hits the lock button, hears the clicks, and the man immediately tries yanking the door handle. Starts yelling. Full-on panic mode now.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Trapped in the car. And then it gets worse. The passenger door of the truck behind them slams shut. They see a second man running from the truck towards their car, and he's got something in his hand.
Oh, God. This is it. This is the robbery. Or worse.
It feels like it's about to happen, but just as that second guy is running up, HONK, a deafening air horn blasts from behind the fake truck, followed by blindingly bright headlights flooding the whole scene.
What? Where did that come from?
It's the real roadside assistance truck.
Oh, thank God. The timing.
Unbelievable timing. The two men, the fake helper and the guy running up, they just instantly stop, turn, run back to their truck, jump in, and peel out, disappearing into the snow.
Wow. Saved by the bell, literally.
Literally. The two guys from the actual tow truck run up, check if the narrator is okay, shaken, obviously, but physically unharmed.
How did the real guys know to hurry? Or was it just luck?
Okay, get this. The narrator, in their panic, had never actually hung up the phone with the real dispatcher.
No way.
Yeah, so the dispatcher heard everything. Heard the man demanding keys, heard the yelling, the banging on the window. They knew something was wrong and rushed the truck immediately.
That is incredible. Leaving the line open saved them. Wow.
Pure, unintentional genius born of panic. They called the police, of course, and learned this wasn't an isolated thing. Cops knew about crews like this.
Really? A known scam.
Apparently, guys driving around in bad weather looking specifically for people stuck in the snow. They pose as help, then try to rob them, steal the car, whatever.
Predatory, targeting vulnerable people.
Exactly. And the narrator even wondered that big object in the road that caused them to swerve and get stuck in the first place.
You think they put it there to create the situation?
It's possible, right? Seems plausible given their methods. The source ends with them feeling incredibly lucky it turned out okay and swearing off driving in that kind of weather ever again.
I don't blame them. That's a terrifying encounter. Glad they were okay.
Me too. Okay, one more story for tonight. This one shifts locale again, takes us up north to a remote cabin. Ice fishing trips.
Ah, winter recreation. But remote cabin. That has potential.
This was when the narrator was younger, going with family. They'd stay in these cabins owned by family friends, and the source really stresses how isolated it was.
How isolated are we talking?
Like maybe a tiny gas station a mile off, but otherwise, nothing. 20, 30 minutes drive to the next sign of civilization.
Oh.
Really out there.
Okay, got it. Middle of nowhere. Important context. Anyone you see out there is noteworthy.
For sure. So they arrive one January evening around sunset. Snow's just starting to fall lightly. They've got the code for the smart lock on the cabin. Get inside, grab the physical key back up.
All smooth so far.
But almost right away.
Okay.
First little weird thing. Walking up to the door, they see tracks in the dusting of snow, leading right to the door.
Fresh snow means fresh tracks.
Narrator points them out to their dad. Dad's just like, probably the cleaning person. They must have just left.
Plausible explanation. For now.
They accept it. Then, second thing, step inside. There's a little puddle of water on the floor right by the door. Melted snow, presumably.
Again, points to someone being there recently. Cleaner makes sense.
Still trapping with the cleaner theory.
Okay.
But then, third thing, narrator's unpacking in their bedroom, goes to close the blinds, and sees more tracks outside the bedroom window.
Okay, wait, these ones are different.
Yeah, these look like they came from the woods, led right up to the house near that window, and again, with the light snow falling, they looked pretty fresh.
Tracks from the woods, that's less likely to be the cleaner.
Right. They tell their dad. Dad says he'll go check it out in a bit.
Does he?
Well, by the time they finish unloading the car, that light snow has turned into a proper blizzard, blowing hard.
So checking outside is kind of pointless now.
Dad basically says that. Figures if anyone was out there messing around, the blizzard sent them packing. So they have dinner, watch a movie, try to put it out of their minds, head to bed.
Trying to rationalize it away happens.
Yeah. Until a few hours later, middle of the night, narrator gets woken up by a sound. A thumping. On the wall. Right outside their bedroom window.
Thumping on the wall, not the window.
On the wall, yeah. Like someone knocking or hitting the siding. Happens a few times.
Okay, that's unnerving.
At first, they're just annoyed, not really scared yet, but it keeps happening, so they get up, go to the window, snow's actually let up a bit, visibility is slightly better.
Need anything.
See, nothing, no person. But they see the tracks again.
Same tracks.
Same tracks, from the woods, right there, near the window. Fresh again, presumably, because of the recent snowfall.
Okay, the noise and the tracks reappearing. That elevates things significantly. It's not just coincidence now. Someone was likely just there.
That's the feeling. They make sure the window's locked tight, but what else do you do? Alone in your room, in the dark, in the middle of nowhere.
Not much you can do, realistically. Just hope the log holds.
Right. So next morning, they tell the dad everything. The thumping, the tracks being back. Dad's still a bit skeptical, but agrees to go look outside with them now that it's light. They confirm it. Clear human footsteps. Leading out of the woods directly to that bedroom window, then moving along the house to the front door, and then leading back into the woods. A distinct path.
Wow. Okay, so a clear pattern of movement. Woods, window, door, back to woods. That's specific, not just someone lost.
Yeah.
That sounds like checking the place out.
Exactly. Especially given the isolation. Who is out there doing that?
Good question. What did the dad do?
He calls his friends, the cabin owners, tells them the whole story. They don't really know what to make of it either. Nobody does.
Understandable, it's bizarre.
A few hours later, the friends come over. And they bring mini plug-in cameras, the kind that stream a live feed to your phone.
Tech solution. Get some eyes inside.
Yeah, they set them up around the main room, hoping it'll give them some peace of mind. Or catch something.
Makes sense.
Later that day, the family decides to actually go ice fishing, try to salvage the trip a bit. They head out to the lake, leave their phones in the car while they're out on the ice.
Okay, leaving the cameras running back at the cabin.
Right. When they get back to the car after a few hours, the narrator's mom checks her phone. It's blown up with notifications.
From the cameras.
Yep. Camera sensed movement inside the cabin multiple times.
While they were gone. Okay,
Yeah.
it's confirmation. Something or someone was inside.
Seems like it. Dad immediately calls his friend again, tells him about the alerts, basically says, you need to get over there, check it out, or call the police right now.
High alert. Understandably.
The friend stays on the phone with the dad, drives over, gets to the cabin, and goes inside. Apparently he had some kind of gun.
Whoa. Okay. Friend takes matters into his own hands. Probably shouldn't have gone in alone before police, but...
Yeah, the source kind of mentions that, but says these friends were, quote, a different breed. You know, maybe more self-reliant or used to dealing with things themselves out there.
Right. Remote living sometimes fosters that. So what did he find inside?
Tin's few minutes of silence on the phone call while he's checking. Then he comes back on and says, nothing. Nothing's there. House is empty. No sign of forced entry.
Huh. Movement detected, but no one inside when checked shortly after. Strange.
Super strange. They do call the police anyway, but same issue. The cameras were live feed only, no recording, so no video proof of anything, just the notifications.
Frustrating. Evidence disappears.
Very. They decide, okay, we're not staying here tonight. They pack up and stay at the friend's house nearby for the last couple of nights, but they leave the cameras running back at the cabin.
Smart. Keep monitoring.
And sure enough, the morning they're actually packing up to leave for good. Movement alert. Again.
Seriously.
Yeah.
On their departure day.
Yep. Dad and the friend race back over there immediately.
Same result.
Same result. Nothing inside the cabin. Empty. Secure.
But what about outside?
This time, tracks leading from the woods up to the cabin. The exact same set of tracks they saw on the first and second day.
The same distinct path. Window, door, back to woods.
It seems like it. The same pattern repeated.
That is incredibly persistent and creepy. Camera alerts suggest inside activity, yet nothing's found.
Yeah.
But the outside evidence keeps reappearing.
It's baffling. Dad apparently considered following the tracks into the woods this time, see where they led.
Oof, risky.
Mom talked him out of it. Probably wisely.
Yeah, probably for the best. You don't know who or what you're following out there.
So they just left with this completely unresolved, eerie feeling. Like, was someone getting inside somehow without leaving a trace? Were they just watching from the woods the whole time? Did the cameras malfunction? So many questions.
And the source implies they never got answers.
Never. Nothing ever came of it. They went on other trips later, but stayed in a different cabin owned by the same friends, and nothing weird happened there. The friend kept an eye on the original cabin, but apparently, whoever it was just stopped coming after they left.
It just faded away, leaving behind one incredibly creepy memory.
Definitely. One of the creepiest things they'd experienced.
You know, listening to all three of these stories, there's this common thread, isn't there? This feeling of intrusion. Unexpected encounters when you're already feeling isolated or vulnerable because of the winter conditions.
Yeah, whether it's a blizzard trapping you, or being stuck on a snowy road, or just being in a remote place. Winter seems to amplify the unease when something strange happens.
And the mysteries often remain unsolved. The kids at the uncle's house, the motive of the roadside scammers, the source of the cabin tracks. It leaves you wondering.
It really does. Makes you think, what would you do in that situation? How would you react?
And it brings up that nagging question from these accounts, doesn't it? When do repeated strange occurrences stop feeling like coincidence? Like with the two children found in the same house, or those persistent tracks. How many times does something unexplained have to happen before you start thinking maybe it's not random, maybe there's something more intentional or just deeply strange going on?
That's definitely something to ponder, especially on a long winter night. Well, thank you for tuning in and listening to these unsettling stories with us.
Goodbye for now.
And hey, if you found these stories compelling, please do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We appreciate the support.